to make American history as the first black senator elected in Georgia. Senator-elect Reverend Raphael Warnock doing a victory lap live on The View to talk about the political and personal impact of his groundbreaking win and his recipe for uniting the Peach State.
I am going to the Senate to work for all of Georgia.
America's blue period? Democratic Senate challenger Jon Ossoff is also declaring victory in Georgia against incumbent GOP Senator David Perdue, which would mean Democrats control the House and the Senate. What does this mean for the future of the Republican Party? And will it have members of Congress regretting their planned protest of President-elect Biden's certification today? Plus, Ken Jeong talks about putting his spin on The Masked Dancer and how he toasted and roasted in the new year with former Community co-star Joel McHale. Here come Hot Topics with Whoopi, Sarah Haynes, Joy Behar, Sunny Austin, and Megan McCain. Now, let's get things started.
Okay, we do not have him. Okay. Yeah. Hey. Hello. Welcome to The View. I mean, it's just, I'm daydreaming, I think, in part because so many kind of amazing things have happened over the last 24 hours, and I have to say, I have to tip my dreads to Georgia because I never thought that we would see this kind of change. And when you look and you realize that there's never been anyone, I'm knocked out that Warnock is the man now. I don't know. I'm knocked out. I have all this stuff I'm supposed to be saying, he's going to make history as the first black senator-elect in Georgia. It's nice when America gives something and does something amazing like that. I mean, are you surprised? Oh, well, maybe we're surprised, but we won't talk about whether we're surprised or not because I believe he's going to be on with us in about 14 seconds. But I'm thrilled. It's nice to wake up to good news for a change. First, okay. Congratulations. Let's start with that. We are thrilled to welcome this man to The View right now. Congratulations. What has this been like for you to be able to say, thank you for electing me the first black senator from the state of Georgia? What did that feel like?
Well, thank you so much, Whoopi, and it's wonderful to be here with all of you. It's great to be back on The View. I am delighted and deeply honored that the people of Georgia have chosen me to represent them in the United States Senate. I know that these are some difficult and dark days, but every now and then God sends us a glimpse of hope and light, I think, to encourage us to keep fighting the good fight. And so, I want to say to some kid who's struggling, persons and struggling families across Georgia and across the country, that you are looking at an iteration and example of the American dream. I grew up in public house, one of 12 children in my family. I'm number 11 and the first college graduate. Through hard work, grit, determination, I was able to go on, earn 4 degrees, including a PhD degree, become the pastor of Ebenezer Church, and now senator-elect from Georgia. I got there through hard work, but also good public policy. I am the product of low student loans. As a toddler, I was in Head Start. I know the importance of good federal public policy, and in this defining moment in America, when there's so much suffering and there's so many people trying to divide us, I hope to go to the U.S. Senate and be a force for good and pulling us all together as we build what Dr. King called the beloved community and respond to the concerns of ordinary people.
Sunny. Congratulations, Senator-elect Warnock. I was watching the returns come in last night with my father, who is a Georgian who was born born and raised in Augusta, Georgia, and I can tell you from the tears in his eyes that we are so very proud. And in your speech last night, you spoke so beautifully about your mother, who was once a sharecropper, and you said, because this is America, the 82-year-old hands that used to pick somebody else's cotton went to the polls and picked her youngest son to be a United States Senator. We know you spoke to your mom last night. What did she have to say to you?
Well, that's my biggest cheerleader, and my dad was an amazing source of support in my life. But he left us in 2010. I know he is somewhere smiling, but I talked to Mom last night, and I jokingly said, "Hi, Mom. This is Reverend Senator Raphael Warnock." He was, elated, but not terribly impressed. She said, "That's good. This is Mom, and I'm still in charge." And I said, "Yes, ma'am."
Well, I'm going to go ahead and address you as senator. I know you're senator-elect, but I must say congratulations myself, and those words almost bring me to tears. Your election is an example of the hope I have in the country, in the world, that things will always continue to get better. Maybe not always the pace we want, but they will. So I want to ask you my question. Democrats still need to win both Senate seats to take control of the Senate. And while Democrat Jon Ossoff leads in the race against David Perdue and has declared victory, the margin is still extremely tight. So the race has not been called yet. How are you feeling about Ossoff's chances? And do you think we're headed for a recount?
Oh, when the votes are counted, I have no doubt that Jon Ossoff will also be a United States Senator from the state of Georgia. And together, he and I will go to the U.S. Senate on a platform of healthcare, jobs, and justice. And what an amazing message this is coming out of Georgia, the Deep South. You are witnessing in real time the reversal of the old Southern strategy where politicians sought to get themselves elected to power by dividing us. John and I are coming to the position as U.S. Senators by trying to bring people together. A young Jewish man, the son of an immigrant, mentored by John Lewis, and the pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church, where Martin Luther King Jr. served, pastor to John Lewis, going to the Senate together. I'm thinking this morning about Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who, when he marched alongside Dr. King, said that he felt like his legs were praying. John and I rise on the prayers of others who didn't simply pray with their lips, but prayed with their legs. That's the work we must do in this defining American moment. We got to get this virus under control, and we got to get people the relief that they need, and we got to make sure that they have health care, jobs, and justice.
Reverend, all I can say is the times, they are a-changing, and it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. I'm so happy to have you here today. Now, your opponent, Republican incumbent Kelly Loeffler, has not conceded yet. She said last night that they still have a path to victory. The delusion is incredible. She's also one of 13 senators expected to challenge the certification of the Electoral College results this afternoon. Now, what do you think about all that? Have you heard from her at all? Have you heard from the Loeffler campaign?
No, I have not. Listen, Kelly Loeffler has consistently placed her own interests, or what she perceives to be her own interests, above the people of Georgia. But I'm not concerned about that. The people of Georgia hear that last night, rose up, and they rebuked the politics of division and distraction. It unfolds in a shameful way today. I mean, I'm glad the Senate is meeting while they're there. They ought to pass COVID relief. They ought to send the $2,000 stimulus relief that working people need, struggling people who lost their jobs due to no fault of their own. They waited months and months for relief. And often that relief was held up for what? To protect, in an extraordinary way, any kind of liability for any company for endangering its workers. Meanwhile, workers were left out in the cold. And they still haven't seen relief because too often the politics is about politicians. I decided to get in politics, not because I'm in love with politics. I'm in love with service. I'm in love with humanity. And I hope, even the folks who didn't vote for me, that's fine. What I want to do is represent all the people of Georgia and make sure that the people that we now call essential workers actually get paid an essential wage, that they have essential benefits, and that young people growing up in struggling families like the one I grew up in, whether they're in urban hardscrabble environments or growing up in largely white, rural, disaffected communities across North Georgia, know that they have a United States Senator who's thinking about them and is bringing their interests and their concerns to the conversation.
Congratulations, Senator. I watched your race closely just like everyone else, and you talked a lot about unity on the campaign trail and the need to unify the country and unify Georgians. But progressives across the country are celebrating that your election could mean adding 2 states, eliminating the filibuster, and packing the Supreme Court with more members. Your colleague Joe Manchin has joined with Republicans to reject those ideas. Chuck Schumer this morning tweeted, quote, "buckle up." So you can understand how it's hard for Republicans like me to believe in the spirit of unity. And I want to know, will you do the same thing as Joe Manchin and agree not to follow up on all of those things?
Well, I'm not focused on any of those things. And as I've moved across Georgia, those are interesting conversations inside the Beltway. But I've been on the campaign trail for months, and I'll tell you what ordinary people are asking me about. They're wondering, are they going to lose their health care in the middle of a pandemic? We've got 1.8 million Georgians who have pre-existing conditions. Sometimes these words just become political buzzwords. So we ought to unpack what that means. We're talking about people.
Senator, I do believe that average Americans care about packing the courts, and I just want to know if you would agree and join Joe Manchin and agree that you're not for that.
My job is to take the concerns that are being raised by my constituent. And what I'm telling you is that they're asking about their health care. They're asking about whether or not they can earn a livable wage for working hard every day. And they're wondering when in the world are they going to get relief after waiting for it for months. And right now, what is the Senate doing? They're engaged in a shameless exercise of privilege and power, challenging the basic norms of our government. The people of Georgia rose up and rebuked that kind of politics last night. And I intend to represent their interests in the U.S. Senate to make sure they have health care, to make sure that they enjoy a livable wage, and that their voice can be heard in their democracy.
Senator, I understand that. I'm just asking you a direct question.
I'm just going to, actually, I'm
wanted to know
actually
if you would join.
going to end this. Hey, listen, we're going to say thanks to the Senator-elect, Reverend Raphael Warnock, and we will be right back. Thank you for coming back, sir.
Great to be on The View.
Still ahead, battle hymn of the Republicans. Trump supporters are descending on D.C. GOP members of Congress plan to challenge Biden's victory, and the president still insists his VP has the power to overturn the election. But on the heels of a possible big win, is this a lose-lose situation for protesters, Pence, and the GOP? Ahead, the Masked Dancer star Ken Jeong on how his former career as a doctor made him the on-set go-to guy for COVID questions.
Welcome back. On the heels of Senator-elect Warnock's projected win, his fellow Democratic challenger in Georgia, Jon Ossoff, also declared victory this morning, even though the race hasn't been called yet, which I think is a little bit dangerous, but who am I? But if he does flip the state blue, what do you think the implications of these wins are, and the people who made them happen? Jordan, what do you think the big picture of this is with this win?
Well, I just think that, it's like now the Democrats have 3 branches of government, which they have the executive, the legislature, and they have 2 houses and the executive branch. And they don't have the judicial. I don't know about that yet. But they do have quite a bit of power, and they have a lot of power. And I think that it's a great thing. I just want to quote Lindsey Graham for a second, because in 2016 he said, if we nominate Trump, we will be destroyed and we will deserve it. It's so great to read that, because that's exactly what happened. And he should have known better. But I think that, the two words that I'm enjoying saying, a Moscow
rich minority leader, because now the adults are back in the room. The adults can now maybe get some stimulus money to these people in this country who are suffering from COVID. They have no reason to be out of work except for this disease, and the government should be helping them, and they're not because of Mitch. And maybe there'll be some action on climate change now, instead of just having this nihilist kind of mentality that we can just destroy the planet with no regard for it. And maybe some good police form. And one more thing, maybe something will be done about those poor children at the border. That's the biggest disgrace of this past 4 years.
Oh my gosh.
And what about you, Sonny? What's your feeling about the possibility of both of those seats being taken by Democrats? Is it in the big picture a good thing?
I think so. I mean, I think it means that our government will be working again the way it is intended to work. I mean, when you look at the policies that the Biden administration wants to enact, there won't be the Mitch McConnell roadblock. And so, as Joy mentioned, we're talking about health care. We're talking about climate change. We're talking about police reform. We're talking about children at the border. We're talking about minimum wage, a living wage. Most importantly, in my mind, we're talking about the vaccination rollout. We're talking about the Defense Act and making sure that our health workers have PPE. We're making sure that people are going to get vaccinated. Right now, we have 20 million vaccines. Some people are some of the vaccines, I think, at this point are getting, are expiring. So at least we'll have immediate relief in that sense. And I think we really have to think about what happened in Georgia. I mean, we're talking about historic voter turnout, not only black voter turnout, but a coalition of Asian Americans. We're talking about Latinos from Mi Gente. We're talking about the work of Stacey Abrams and LaTosha Brown. I mean, this was historic. And I do think that Ossoff will pull this out. This is incredible.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk more about that. We're going to talk to Megan and Sarah when we come back. Talking about how the projected Democratic wins in Georgia will impact the future of American politics. What's your thought on it, Megan? What do you think these wins will mean in the bigger picture?
Yeah, I just want to give a little context to this race for people that maybe weren't following it as closely. So Johnny Isakson stepped down from the Senate for health reasons, and then Governor Kemp actually ended up appointing, he picked Kelly Loeffler. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. He picked Kelly Loeffler, who was actually one of the worst, most wooden and unprepared candidates I think I've ever seen appointed to office. She went out on the campaign trail wearing American flag hats and this sort of faux populism. She's a billionaire that comes from Wall Street and owns a WNBA team and was trying to sort of present herself as this working class red state populist. It doesn't work. Faux populism doesn't work. And I think the idea that she was going to end up being one of these incredible candidates after I'm so sorry. She actually ended up profiting. I don't know if you guys remember. She ended up profiting from the coronavirus. She secretly went into. I'm sorry. My train of thought is so off right now. I apologize. Can you just move on to someone else? I'm sorry.
I can jump in.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
Well, I was just going to say a little bit of, the Republicans kind of hitched their wagon to the wrong horse, and by that I mean President Trump. All along, over the last 4 years, we've seen so many Republicans say, in the name of future re-election, they kind of had to go along with this. And when you see it, they now have lost Congress and the presidency. This was their election to lose, meaning I don't want to tamper at all with how turned up and turned out the Democrats were, because as Sonny regarded all the groups that showed up, there's been historical movement there that needs to be applauded. So they definitely won, but the Republicans also actively lost this election due to the fact that all these fraudulent claims kind of fed this machine. Historically, Republicans have won every statewide runoff in Georgia's history except one. In November, Democrats brought in lower votes than both Republican candidates, and Georgia has not elected a Democratic senator since 1996. So this was definitely an effort on the Democrats really turning it up, and I applaud them. But this sadly was a lot for anyone that feels upset that the Republicans lost. This was a lot of hitching your wagon to President Trump. And that earned them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I can't understand why people didn't see what was coming. I mean, especially when he basically told the state of Georgia that they all cheated. When you go in and you tell everybody that they cheated and you say, there's really no point, people listen. So they lost the seat, as you said. It was theirs to lose, and they did. We'll be right back.
Ken Jeong's talking about showing off a new set of moves on The Masked Dancer and sharing his New Year's resolution for 2021. Next.
Ken Jeong's antics at the judges' table helped make The Masked Singer a breakout hit, and now he's back with a new twist on how contestants can earn their stripes on The Masked Dancer. Take a look.
What I love about what you're doing right now, you've been in character from the very beginning. I think this is a performer who moves really well. When he first walked out, I noticed a lot of fast footwork, and he didn't fall on his face. That is not easy. What I tend to notice is people that dance all the time. Like, they always have that rhythm going. This is just like Paul at every staff meeting we have. Yeah. I mean, this is always on. Yeah. All right, then.
Hey, please welcome the fabulous and amazing Ken Jeong. Hey, baby.
Hey,
welcome back. How you doing?
Fine, guys. Thanks for having me.
First of all, Happy New Year, man. I hear you made some resolutions for 2021.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I want to travel less and spend even more time with my family, and I think that's really important for me right now. It's just more of the same and then some more, and then some more of the same.
You are so... Yeah, I love it. Megan.
Hi, Ken. It's so nice to see you. You know how much I love you.
Love you.
You and your community co-star Joel McHale actually hosted the New Year's Eve Toast and Roast special, where you lovingly insulted each other all night, as well as some of the breakout stars from last year, including Tiger King's Carol Baskin. What from the 2020 hellscape are you most excited to put behind you?
Basically everything from science to policy. It's just great to just kind of, in academic terms, this is kind of like the worst independent study year ever. We just get that transition year out of the way. We go back to like real life. We return to normalcy on every front, and we get back to what America really wants to see me do is Judge Tulip's tap dancing. I think that's really important, and that's what. Let's just have a return to normalcy, guys. Let's do the real runoff. Is it the tulip or is it the hammerhead?
Oh.
That's so important to me, guys.
Dr. Ken, I would follow you into the mists of Avalon, and that is a Step Brothers quote in case you didn't know it. But I love everything you're a part of. You are such a light in this world, and your new show, The Masked Dancer, is a fun spin-off of The Masked Singer, which we've all seen, which became a pop culture phenomenon. Besides being family-friendly, what is it about these mystery contestant shows that people are so hungry for?
I mean, I think musical game shows are a staple of like traditional family viewing, and I think that, for a guy who got his start as a physician and was initially paid to be smart, there's something kind of nice to be paid to be deliberately stupid. There's something nice to just entertain and just have an escape and just rest your brain, with people you trust and people you love. And there's something to be said about, and not just the fact that I'm on these shows, but even if I wasn't, me and my family would watch these shows just to rest our brain, and I think you need the balance of television like your show to be enlightened and educated, and shows like mine just to not think at all.
Right. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Ken, you're known as the judge with the worst track record of guessing the masked contestants.
How dare you? How dare you? This interview's over. This interview's over. How dare you? Leave me. Leave it. How dare you? Okay, this is how the feud gets you.
No.
I'm out of it, guys. Go to break. Wow.
You famously guessed incorrectly that Lips from The Masked Singer, which turned out to be our friend Wendy Williams, you guessed it was Mariah Carey. I would think guessing masked dancers could be even harder. Is that true?
Yes, all that was true. And what happened was we have a first, just to clarify, we have now a new feature on The Masked Singer where we do a first impression, and Nick Cannon made me write down the guess quickly without any hesitation or thought. And I don't know, I just panicked, and this happened in real time. Nick Cannon's married to Mariah Carey. For some reason, we're making Mariah Carey jokes, and I just wrote down Mariah Carey's name, and I just literally had an anxiety attack. And now I knew when that came out, I just never leave that. So that was embarrassing even for me. I literally felt embarrassed on behalf of anyone associated, anyone who sings songs or listens to songs. For me to guess that Wendy Williams was Mariah Carey is something that I will never probably live down.
Yes. Okay, so Ken, I'll call you Ken. Dr. Ken, people have been calling you. You had more shows in production during COVID than ever before. I mean, you've been doing pretty well, even though, it's been a bad time. The Masked Singer, The Masked Dancer, and something called I Can See Your Voice. Yeah. Now, most people know you're also a doctor because you've been on this show enough to tell us. So were you
I come brag on your show all the time.
I know. So were you the go-to guy on the set for COVID protocol? Did they ask you, Dr. Ken, what should I do? I'm sneezing or something else. Anything like that happen?
I give a shout. All the shows that I've had in production has been with this one company, WorkCare, that do all the COVID protocols. And shout out to Peter Greeny, who's the head physician and CEO. And he really has enlightened me, not about the medicine so much, but as the epidemiology and the public health and how to zone out productions in different zones to keep it as COVID safe as possible. And I think that, in many ways, I do pride myself on becoming kind of a de facto COVID officer. So if any of my co-stars have any questions on COVID, I can give them, try to give them as educated an answer and really enforce safety. And I think everyone on all the sets that I work on, I think because of my medical background, I'm able to kind of, this is what we need to do, and let's do everything we can to keep it safe. I mean, and I try to have a collaborative approach of, just really all of us being as careful as we can, as much as possible. And I think that's one of the reasons for the success of having 4 productions during a pandemic and trying to make it as careful as possible. It's not easy, but it's funny. I have gone into doctor mode in between during commercial breaks. I actually do kind of, and people do ask me, and I do try to give as educated an answer as I possibly can. Yeah.
Well, sit tight, because we're going to come back with more with you. So we'll be right back. We are back with Ken Jeong. Megan.
Yes, Ken, so your wife, Tran, is also a practicing physician. And with LA being such a COVID hotspot, what has it been like for her this past year?
Well, by the way, first of all, congratulations on your baby, Liberty.
Thank you.
So very happy
Thank you
to
so
see you
much.
back.
Yes, you put a picture of you as a baby on your Twitter and Instagram, and you were the cutest baby ever. Look at you with those cheeks.
See, that's me wanting to congratulate. That's me in baby form, Megan. As like a revert. I'm a Benjamin Buttons there, like congratulating your baby. So in many ways, this is me in some sort of Tenet time wormhole. It's just like I just want to celebrate your family, and I'm so happy for you. And
thank you.
And in terms of COVID, we're doing everything we can as just to keep ourselves, as everybody else is, just to be as responsible as we can to keep ourselves educated and and evolved in thought as. Especially now in LA with the surge of COVID and most likely and very likely the mutant variant of the UK is in Southern California. We have to take, to me, the game plan is very simple. It's like a basketball game. You just got to play defense. You really just have to play defense and really wear a mask, social distance. I mean, the solution is simple. The execution is always hard. Yeah.
Well, one good thing to come out of the pandemic was that you added a member to your family. Tell us about little Mocha. I think I saw her before this clip started, or before we started.
Oh, yeah, that's Lola Doodle Mocha. You can bring her out, and this is her making her debut here. Yeah, and
so sweet.
Oh, she's big.
How you
How
doing?
big
This
is
is
she?
this is my wife. Also, you can wave hello. This is it's my wife. This is my
Hi,
this is my
Hi, Tran.
I'd say.
Just saying hello.
Hi, Tran.
Her last name is Ho. Calm down, guys. So everything is good. And this is Mocha. Just saying hello. How you doing?
Hi.
How old is Mocha, Dr. Ken?
She just turned a year old. A little
Oh,
over
once
a
you're
month
getting
ago.
out of that puppy phase.
Ken,
That's like
is
having a
Tran
newborn.
still there? Is she still there?
Still here. Yeah.
Yeah. Tran, you've been such an inspiration to so many people. I know that you're a cancer survivor, and your story has been so inspirational to so many cancer survivors in the country.
She said your story's been so
Oh,
inspirational
thank
to
you.
cancer survivors, and said thank you for everything. So sorry, I have her on it.
Mocha's eating the microphone.
There's all kinds of things going on in that room.
I think we lost him. Mocha just destroyed it.
Nothing's. We can hear him.
Well, okay.
Dog's cute.
So we're wrapping.
Yeah.
Thanks to Dr. Ken. Mass Dancer airs Wednesday nights. Check your local listings. We'll be right back, but Mocha's not coming back. We'll be right back.
We the View.
This is a moment in history.
Hold these truths
I just like seeing Americans being able to speak truth to power.
That's the damn truth.
to be self-evident.
We the people, for the people, by the people.
That all women, all men, all people are created equal
We can't expect empathy if we don't give it as well.
and free to openly voice their views.
Truth, justice, and the American way. So there you have it.
Whatever your view,
Her thoughtful talking of the issues helped Americans understand what was going on. So I want to thank all of you.
you are welcome here.
Y'all's politics are different than mine, and I think it's actually good we're having a conversation.
Now, with so much at stake,
I have full confidence in the American people. It's about where we need to go as a country.
thank you for making us America's #1 daytime talk show.
With no show like yours,
We're the Emmy Award-winning View on